Hello, welcome to Tarot for Our Times. There's been a lot happening today, and I've been dangerously close to doom scrolling. But one of the important things that's kind of on the global issue is the King Abdullah's visit to the White House and how FOTUS is demanding that he takes in all of the Palestinians from Gaza because he wants to turn it into the Riviera and the Hamptons or whatever he's going to do with it. And was pretty much making this a demand, but I think the king was being nice to him, but probably thinking at the same time, this guy is absolutely nuts. It's like he's trying to take it as another property of his. That's why I have chosen the Five of Swords today. And this is something that could really turn in, and I've been talking about this, this is something that could really be turning into a triple tower event. Three of the that could be coming into three of these bad boys. Okay. And I will go into that with the reading, but this is the bully that's just taking everything. There have been a couple of people that have dropped their swords, and and they're walking away from him. But the thing is, this represents the allies that we're losing because of this. So basically, I want to do a couple of readings. First, as how is this going to play out in the United States? I have an odd feeling that, thinking back on last spring when everybody was so divided on this, I would have to say that there may be common feelings about this, because even the most staunch, reasonably so, Israel supporters who do not like Bibi, feel as though that that civilians shouldn't be mistreated. They've been torn between Hamas and Israel, and I think that this has come to the point now where the Israelis that have been in the streets wanting, demonstrating against Netanyahu, probably think that they don't want to see any more bloodshed, and especially having having the American conquerors. I don't know what he's going to do with this, but at any rate, I'm sure they don't trust him, and they don't trust their own. They're kind of like, I guess they would say that Trump is just the goyish version of Netanyahu. I mean, what other way would there be to describe that? So first, I want to read on how this is going to be playing here on the domestic front. And as I say, the opposing people on campus may be in some agreement about this. I don't know, but that's the way it would seem to me. Okay, so we have the Queen of Swords. This is interesting because around her, these are the doves of peace, and this is very much of a female energy. And when she's upright, she does not swing that sword easily. She's got it ready, but she's very careful when she wields it. So we've got the Queen of Swords, and this is the female energy of wanting truth, and maybe a little bit worried that we could be stirring up a big hornet's nest in the Middle East. So I'm going to say that I'm not going to be looking at the MAGAs too much, because their numbers are starting to dwindle and they're nuts anyway. But I'm going to say the general population, the more reasonable one, which is it's going to be a lot of the women that have been involved in all sorts of demonstrations against Trump since 2017 are going to be maybe the leaders of wanting a peace movement, because I would say this could be a powder, and this is speaking the truth, but this is being very intelligent about it. So crossed with the energy, interesting. Crossed with the energy, crossing that is the King of Swords in reverse. And well, as I've said, that the kings in reverse are his worst character. They each represents his worst characteristic. This guy represents he can't tell the truth. He can't tell the truth, and he's ready to foolishly wield that sword. So it's almost like the energy and the opposition of this together, saying that there will be some of that male force lying about what's actually going on. Like, is anybody buying he's going to put the Palestinians into condos, really nice condos? So going to look at what is going on beneath this, and I'm going to use this deck, unusual deck. Okay, so we have the Four of Cups in reverse, which is telling me that this is pretty much counterintuitive, and that that this isn't going to work out well, and also that there is hope in the large one in the foreground, but the others in the back are saying we're running out of options. That this was in reverse, right? Okay. So that this one is about to be upset. So what this is said, that this is, we pretty much know that this is not a great idea. Then we have here, Seven of Pentacles, and this is about I'm going to say that people may be aware that this is tantamount to how successful his casinos and properties have been, not, and that this would be a very, very bad investment, because he's not going to build those Riviera hotels with his own money, but it's like part of this whole thing with him and the muskrat trying to get, then that may be a lot of what their shenanigans are about. I didn't think I'd be touching on this, but so this is planning this, but maybe this isn't going to work out so well. But it's sort of like the pie in the sky dreams. Oh, and the page. Okay, so we have the page of Pentacles, which is it's pretty much about this. It seems like this young boy is receiving this money, and that he may not be spending it very wisely, that there will be definite immaturity about people, I think, will be concerned about tax dollars being wasted on this sort of thing. So what we have in opposition of this is we've got the Death card in reverse, which is about it's about a near-death experience, and I'm going to say that hopefully this is going to be near-death enough to wake up the American people, because everybody talks about this awakening. This looks like this could be a disaster. I don't know if he's going to try to take troops in. I was kind of picking up that energy as I first heard this, the news breaking, I think, on Midas Touch, and they were getting pretty hysterical about this. So this could be, and it's about the sickness that this country is going through, and that with everything else, part of this near death of, maybe the country, but I somehow feel as though those on the other side are saying you got to go back, and save it. So at any rate, we've got the Queen of Pentacles in reverse for what's going on right now and the worry that we have. And I do see her in light of the Homeland Security. She's the Homeland Security, but she's in reverse. So that's telling me about the nervousness that I and others have about stirring up the hornet's nest of the radical Islam groups that could be, and also with his firing of all these trying to fire, maybe hopefully it won't be a success. Is this really a good time to fire CIA and FBI people? Because I'm going to say these are the radical ones, Hamas and Al Qaeda and all of those people are really, I think, when this happens, they smell blood in the water. So while ICE and all of these other people are, rounding up people that speak Spanish, that some of these guys could slip in. They could, one of the ones that don't look quite as brown, and believe me, I've been around and I know that there are Arabic people that have blonde hair and so forth, and that's a scenario. So I'm going to say that our Homeland Security, don't mean to be a downer, but we have to be realistic that our Homeland Security is in peril and could be of a 9/11 thing. I mean, this is what's going on. And we've got the Three of Cups in reverse. And this is about emotions just running amok. And I also want to say that these people, they're as I said in a previous one, they're like scattered all around. It's just really chaotic. But I'm going to say that since these cups are in reverse, this whole deal with wanting to go in and take Gaza as his personal property, this is just emotion. Nothing is thought out. And I would want to say that on the inside, like with so many other things, I'm going to bet that there is some infighting about that. So that is what I'm seeing. I know he's got the yes men to try to hold, that will go along with everything, but I'm going to say it could be the military and the the forces that protect us. So we got that. And then we have the Nine of Swords, which is telling me they're not even thinking about this. They should be really worried about it. This is like really living in a dream world to not be. They're not thinking ahead. He's not thinking ahead of this. But I would say, even though this is in reverse, I would say for the American people, it's in the near future that this will be keeping people up at night. So I want to do a hopes and fear. Okay. I would say that with all this silliness that he's doing, from wanting to take over Panama and Canada and Greenland and the Gaza Strip, is that he's putting and the 10 transgender sports people, whatever, and all this other BS, as that he and the Muskrat are definitely putting more burdens on them and us than are needed. And this is telling me that people will start to see this and start to become pretty worried about this. So You know, I guess the hope was that he was going to take over a whole lot of stuff, but the fear is on our part is that he's taking on so much of this that it's enough to get your head spinning. So in the I feel like switching now. In the near future, we see the trying to dismantle. This is part of the whole thing of dismantling our institutions and government. This is in the very near future. But I'm going to say, I always go by what card it comes next to. I'm going to say that with these two together, that's a big burden. That's a big burden to carry, and they may not be able to pull it off. That's just an awful lot. I know that a lot of this stuff is this nefarious stuff has been in the planning for years, but it's still, they're having the Project 25 people might have picked some better people to do this, because they've just got a couple of real nut jobs on this. And so we'll see what's going here. So a little bit further in the future, we have the Queen of Rods here. And this is a very inspiring female figure. I keep getting a female figure running through. I almost want to call her the mystery woman. It's not like there's anybody that's coming to save us, but there is a woman that could be very instrumental in being in leading. Someone has to lead us to say, we're not coming to save you, but we're going to be able to give you some guidance in how we can straighten this whole thing out. So she's very much of a summer figure, and the sunflowers are very spiritual. In fact, they are the symbol of spiritualism. And so I think that this is going to be a very strong spiritual woman, but a leader. I don't know, maybe it's one of those young ones in Congress like AOC and Jasmine Crockett that are, and this is, she looks pretty young here, but they are in powerful positions. So I'm going to say it's probably somebody like that. So in a more distant future, we have, okay, for once this has come uprise. This is a great sense of cooperation. I'm going to say that people are getting fed up on all fronts, and I'm going to see that there is a focus, that there will be, I would say, like the little person making those $5 and $25 donations, that there could be quite a war chest. But I'm going to say a very organized, cooperating kind of thing to really show some pushback. And I'm going to say, who knows how it's going to work or how long it's going to take, but it's going to be very well thought out and organized, and also that and well enough that there won't be any police coming in the streets. That's what I'm seeing. That very, very, very good. I remember back in the 60s when we used to protest the war in Vietnam, that always the best leaders were the ones that are saying, don't step off the curb. If the cops tell you to move back, you move back. Do not give them any reason. And I always picked the ones that everybody was very cooperative with that. And they were truly, I even went to that humongous one in Washington a zillion years ago. And that there were very good leaders. And when you get people cooperating like that en masse, if some violence, if the police get carried away like they did in Chicago in '68, then eventually, if they're seen as bullying, which they eventually were, then things turn around. So I want to pick a concluding card for this. Okay. Knight of Wands. Speaking of which, I really think that this is the energy of people getting really fired up. This is only just one more thing. Just one more thing that, and this could be with the burden of the Ten of Wands. It's just like one more thing to protest. And this could be a lot like the old peace marches, but with some inspiring and I want to say young leadership. That's what I'm as far as this whole thing goes, I know people have been trashing Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, and okay, granted, I'm not a huge fan of theirs right now, but I would say instead of concentrating on that, let's go with the younger ones and let them know we need your wisdom of experience. There's nothing wrong with that on one hand, but on the other hand, you've really got to let the other ones, you've got to let the younger ones lead. And I think that there is a big, some of the ones that they may speak fiery, but when you get them out in action, they really know how to avoid trouble. So let's see, put this up a little bit. So I'm going to shuffle these up and see how this is going to play in the rest of the world, because the whole world is watching. I mean, I have a friend in Ireland who told me she Facebook texted me and said and she's been to the States and loves it and everything. She said there's no way she's coming here while this stuff is going on. And I know there's a big and I know that my other friends at Arthur Findlay probably feel the same way, and which is the psychic school I went to in the UK and met people from all over the world. And so I also know that Chautauqua and Lilydale are going to be really hurting for the Canadian clientele, because it used to be that the whole thing was when you got change at the store, you had to check it carefully to make sure they didn't slip you Canadian quarters. That hasn't really happened in a while. They haven't been big in visiting Western New York State, but I will say they will not be coming over maybe one or two, I don't know, but they will not be coming over the border this year. First of all, the customs people are so rude to them that it isn't going to take much for them to be convinced to why even bother, and that's going to really, really hurt. I think our tourism business is going to be in a big trouble this year, especially if they know that even the more conservative ones, if they figure that their people in the streets, they won't be able to get cabs in New York, and they'll be worried that there's going to be something explosive. So it's going to be a terrible summer for tourism. So at any rate, let's see what the rest of the world, I think I've shuffled these up well enough. Let's see what the rest of the world, what's going on with them. Okay, so we have, interesting. I did shuffle this well. We have the Knight of Cups. This is the Knight of Cups. Oh, okay. I was thinking I should wear my glasses. Thought it was the Knight of Wands. Okay. The Knight of Cups. This is kind of like the young idealistic knight, and this is interesting because usually he's not on a horse that is rearing up like that. So I'm going to say that in this instance, I think people all over the world are trying to move on forward and keeping their emotions in check. This is telling me that there's nervousness that things may explode. So I think what this is telling me basically is that they are trying to keep their emotions in check. But it's really hard with that horse rearing up the way it is to keep the cup upright. So, and I think that also tells me they're going to be really taking care of their own. 2. And so we have, it's crossed by the 4 of Pentacles in reverse. And when I take this in reverse, sometimes it means this guy is about to, this is the holding on to the money card. But I think this guy is about to shut the lid on the, on his little treasure box with the coins. And this is saying, well, we're not, this is telling me that you want to tariff us, we'll tariff you. And we're closing this box up. We're not spending, this is like Canada. Now we're really not going to be buying any of your stuff, any of your whiskey and everything else that we get from the States. And I think that Europe could possibly follow suit with this. They're whamming the top on that box, and they certainly are not going to come over here to spend their money. That is for sure. Plus the fact is that this inflation is good that we're going through. They're going to suffer through it too. They're starting to suffer through it too. And they're thinking like maybe a holiday at the seashore might be better than an expensive, and who knows if the plane's even going to land safely. So, okay. So in opposition to this, we have the Chariot. And I think, yeah, we're going to move forward, but we're pretty much going to move forward on our own, and maybe without looking at the United States as much. So that kind of coincides. And so what's underlying all of this is, yeah, we've got our own problems. We've got a lot going on here. And this is also about the fact that they're very close to the Middle East. And it's like, well, maybe, and this would represent arrows and old warfare. And maybe they're thinking that we may have to be prepared because we've got Russia and the Ukraine on one side. Then we've got this stupid jerk trying to buy up the Gaza Strip, and they know better than we do. You'd think we'd learn by now, but we do, how volatile the Arab world could be. So they may be, they're really getting ready for the potential trouble that could be happening. Then we have Justice. Justice, which is, I honestly think that things are going to come to the point where they're going to say, we've got to put him in the world court. If the United States courts isn't going to be, take responsibility for him. And as I understand, if he sets in for this is interesting because I just found this out the other night. It might have been a Glenn Kirshner thing. If he steps into any country that has a treaty with the World Court, he could get arrested. And I guess the person said, well, we don't know if they're going to do that. Well, that's taking a pretty big chance. So that's a further, I think that there could be an announcement, and I think that's a further measure that they could take for, they don't want him. They don't want his stinky diapers smelling up their castles and stuff like that. So that's another measure to keep them, to keep him back in that. And that's why I think all these people are coming to visit him, because he's a convicted felon. He's a convicted felon. He can't go. So they may be playing on that as a matter of control, because I think that's what they're, okay, so I think what this is saying, whatever bad blood and long-term 500 years feelings of animosity that these countries have had towards each other, I think that with this in reverse, I think what they're going to do is that they're going to do everything they can to not get into any fights with each other. So this is telling me that They may want to, and the feelings may be there, but they will do everything that they can to avoid this. So we're looking in the past. We have the Empress, and in the not too distant past, what this tells me is like it's bad enough that we have Russia to worry about, and we've had Russia to worry about for a while. We really don't need this. So this is our card for Mother Russia, the Empress. And then we have the Fool. So I'm going to say that in the past, with him, with what we have here, is they've had to take some risks, and things like taking Finland, Sweden, considering them for the NATO, the EU, and all this sort of thing, but which is kind of bold because I think Russia has pretty much, sent the message that if, we won't mess with you if you, don't expand too much. So they've taken some risks, but I'll tell you, since he's upright, they're not that foolish in that they could be working out. So they've done some things in the past, taking that leap of faith, which is the Fool, upright, the beginning of the tarot, and it could very well be working out for them. So then we have, I think I'll do conscious and subconscious. We'll do, okay. Here we go. The cousin, the evil cousin of the Five of Swords, we've got the Seven of Swords. So consciously, he's just been taking all the goodies, and he figures that, Europe has just stood by, but I'm going to say that I also feel as though they're giving him enough rope to hang himself. So consciously, they're saying we're he's an oaf and a buffoon and this sort of thing. So we'll cut him a little bit of slack. He hasn't done anything. He's just a stupid moron. But I think that they're waiting in the background. So let him do this and that, and then we're really going to. So that's what they've consciously been thinking. But of course, he's been completely oblivious. So the subconscious thoughts that they've had is, we're going to win in the end. People have trampled and stompled all over us. And, especially now that we have united in the EU. And then you've got I'm going to bring in the National Emirates as well, and they may be talking to them. I'm sure they're talking to them, as saying like, we will win in the end, but we've really got to put some checks on him. And then this whole thing, it's like this whole subliminal, for our fight for survival through 2 world wars and all of this stuff before, we always manage to survive. We might have millions dead, but we survive, and we win. We win in the end. So it's almost like this, the good guys win in the end, and that's what's kept them going. So I know it's overly simplistic. Okay, so presently, let's see, they are, again, with this Four of Pentacles in reverse. They're going to hold on even tighter to their resources. Very, very tight to their resources. I'm going to say that this is just another way that he's made them angry, that they're just not going to buy American stuff anymore. That's the whole thing. That's what's happening now. The Queen of Swords. Very angry queen, ready to wield the sword. And I will look at her. This time she's often she's a lawyer and a judge. So I'm going to say that cannot get this out of my mind, but this looks to me is that the international court, The Hague, all of that stuff, they're just waiting for him. And believe me, if he steps out of line and steps into a place, there's going to be no coddling him like they're doing here. They're going to be and take no prisoners. It's almost like, yeah, you want to come over? Come on over and see what happens to you. So I'm going to say that's what's going through their minds now. So let's see. Then we have the loyal knight. So pretty much they're not going to do anything right now, but they're really ready. I would say that for all the little quarrels and whatever, is that I think with these countries, both in Europe and probably the Middle East, is that there will be a new sense of loyalty in looking at this big picture. And also they're hanging on to their resources, but they're ready to put some money into stopping him. And it would be very interesting to see if that area of Gaza is in that treaty with the courts. That might be too much to hope for. Okay, so in the hopes and the fears, again, we've got the Queen of Rods here. I think the hopes is that there is a strong female figure that could be much of a leader. And I would say that in the fears is that they know that women are his Achilles heel, and he cannot take strong women leaders and that sort of thing. So this may be there's maybe some strong, this is maybe getting to the mystery woman, that there may be a very strong female leader. I would also say that, just had an inspiration here. I would also say that this could be, we need to make this a little bit more global. I think this is could also be Presidente Sheinbaum of Mexico too. That she could be playing a strong part. And I also get a strong sense there are some she has counterparts, women that are very, very strong leaders in European countries that we will be, but I think she's going to be playing a role on this and talking to people in Europe and the Middle East. So, okay, so in the near future, we have the Nine of Cups in reverse. I am going to say that this is usually the smug merchant card, but I'm going to say that this is someone just kind of a very comfortable person in their life, which I would say that's the present administration, which I think they're going to be pitching him out of his comfort zone in a way that's going to be very surprising. I think what's happening here is that he is getting a false sense of security, since what can Congress do in this and that? And the resistance is just kind of beginning. But I think that he maybe thinks that the rest of the world is like that. I think he's going to find out very soon that his little cups are going to be turned upside down. So let's see. Longer, more distant future, we have strength. I'm telling you, the rest of the world is going to get some real strength. They're going to get an awful lot of strength out of this. And we have, this is interesting because this is a very big lion, and this woman is taming the beast in a gentle way. I'm going to say that they may show some strength in kind of making him think he's gotten away with it, and then he will not know what hit him. And the lion is so prevalent that I want to say that I want to look at this as August in the Leo season. that it's quite very, very possible that in a way, internet, something big, internet, and it's, you know, the Middle East, the Gaza thing, that's only part of it. But I'm going to say there's something kind of bigger going on that on an international level that's really, it's going to be like he gets whammed or whacked with a velvet glove. That's what this card tells me. So the outcome, I think I'll go back to this one. The outcome is the Two of Swords. He and Rubio and all the rest, they're going to know what they have to do, but he's got his blindfold on and cannot see anything clearly. And there is a lot of feminine energy around with the moon that he's going to find disturbing, and he's going to know what he has to do, but he's going to have a very hard time doing it. I think Rubio may be trying to bring him to his senses, but I would say it's very hard to say what he may really dig in, but it's just going to be an exercise in futility. He may dig in, or he may get that blindfold yanked off, declare some kind of victory like the little toddler that gets his toys taken away because it's bedtime now, and then he says, well, they're lousy toys, I didn't want them anyway. That, which is how he reacts to a lot of things. So what this whole thing says to me, that this is going to be very uniting to them overseas. And I'm seeing in the Middle East, although they do have their crazy terrorists to deal with, and as I look at this, it's possible, seeing rods and swords, it's possible that there could be some acts of terrorism, although they'll be beefing up their security. There may be some isolated terrorist attempts, but I would say that I look at it, the 9/11 thing, our country did come together for a brief time, for a couple of months, I would say, and it was something quite amazing, both here in Pittsburgh and visiting New York not too long after. But I would say that if something like that happens here, and I hate to say it, I think it's highly possible, I don't see that is going to bring us entirely together. We still will be fighting. They may be more on the fringe, but they'll be saying Antifa, yada, 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 all this stuff. But I would say quite the opposite overseas. If there are terrorist events, and this is the kind of stuff that stirs them up, that will be bringing them more united. And I'm going to do a very little quickie card draw to see if there are there going to be, will there be terrorist activity in the U.S. and abroad. I'm going to do a little, okay, first the U.S. Okay. I'm going to say that the powers that may be are going to be so entrenched on their greedy, grubby, grabbing hold of whatever, money they can extort, that they will not be able to see something coming. It was kind of similar to what happened with 9/11. He was warned, and I think that if something like that were to happen, it would be because they're too busy ripping us off. They won't see it. And the fact that we have CIA and FBI in turmoil, I don't think they're all going to go, but I think that they're going to, whatever they're doing is not going to help either stem this. So very quickly, so then we have, again, maybe there's some warnings, but they can't make up their mind if they can take their eyes off their money long enough to pay attention. Then we have the hermit in reverse. He's not the wise hermit up as he is upright, but this is the how we are isolated when we don't need to be. So that means that there could be a lack of other countries cooperating and, you know, communicating. That might be broken down a bit. This is one of the consequences. And then the sun and the big truth will come out. Boy, this keeps telling me something could be happening in the summertime. So the truth will be exposed, and as far as if anything happens, that really who was to blame. So we've got that. Let's see, overseas we have the Ten of Swords. This is a very interesting Ten of Swords because it never quite makes it into the back of the guy lying on the ground, which is saying that this is telling me this could be a close call, because their Interpol and security forces have their act together a lot better. And so that there could be a close call, but or that it you know, or if something happens, it will be thwarted enough that it doesn't do the damage that it was intended to do. Along with that, we have the Nine of Swords, which I'm going to say they're going to be really worried about that, and especially in the summertime. For summer, I keep getting the summertime that they're going to be, well, let's say when the weather starts to get warmer, because we're not, the tarot doesn't always tell time very well. So then we have the, all right, because so we have the Eight of Swords, but yeah, they're not going to be sitting back and, you know, getting into victim mode and feeling sorry for themselves. I think they're going to be very prepared because they're, you know, in 9/11, you know, Oklahoma City, 9/11. We never thought that stuff would hit our shores. So then we've got that going. So they're not going to be in the, and I'm going to say whatever they have been going through with us stabbing them in the back, I'm going to say that there could be a lot of healing, because this is a card of, you know, you've been through the betrayal, but in reverse, gravity pulls the swords down. It's a lesson learned, and they can move on. I'm going to say that if anything were to happen, that I would say that they will heal and get over it. But I think what they're going to do is they will hold the U.S. responsible for any act of, I mean, they may stop a truck of munitions riding down the Champs-Élysées and the, you know, and that gets thwarted, something like that. But I think what they're going to do is they're going to see this as America having stabbed them in the back, and now it's time for them to heal and move on. Hate to say that this could be at our detriment, and this whole thing with the Middle East, which has always been a real sticky, and there's been a lot of hypocrisy about that on their part too, but I would have to say that that they may get through it better, and that might make them more united. So I would say this is not going to be exactly to our advantage. So I would say that with this latest thing that happened today, where he really did say to someone, a king of a country we're fairly friendly with, is that it looks like it's almost like he drew a line in the sand, like we're going to do it anyway, so you better take them in. I think that we really have to add this to our list of things that we need to resist, because this is not good. I think Netanyahu's going to be going down. I think that when the dominoes start to fall, I'm seeing Netanyahu going down pretty badly, maybe this year or next. when that happens, it's boom, 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 Putin, this one, that, you know. So at any rate, that's how I see this. So I will be back and I will see you again soon. So bye for now.